Crevices and holes were actually home to sea creatures at one point. Now this is one of the largest formations of white-beaded andesite in North America, so we actually have scientists come from all over the world to study this. They are still to this day finding new species that once lived in these homes. Now we're going to head through a tunnel. It is fairly narrow, so it's going to be a single file. As we head through, you're going to notice it's covered by chicken wire. Make sure to look up through that chicken wire. You're going to see all of the cave coral continuing throughout the whole tunnel. Now we put that there.
Hay que tener cuidado con esto. Mira esto. Ajá. Bueno, por ahí fue que entramos.
So just make sure to hold those pipes on your way up. Is one of our biggest in the entire cave system, and we call that Jaws. It looks like Jaws' mouth, so that's why we call it Jaws. But right behind it, when scientists discovered this room, you're not able to see it, but there are tree roots coming out of the ceiling.
Oh, wow.
That's how we can estimate we're about 20 to 30 feet below the surface. That's what makes this room completely different than all the others. Again, kind of musty, sort of like a basement in a house. There's less of a breeze up here. You're going to feel breezes throughout the cave today. That's cave breathing. That's the Tower of Pisa, because it kind of looks like that. Right behind it is going to be E.T.'s hand, still trying to phone home. Off to our right here, you guys are going to see that stalactite coming down. It kind of looks like a number 7.
Yeah.
That is called Guide's Lucky number 7. Now, it's actually really rare because it's not forming straight down, obviously. So this is called a helictite. Now, helictites are really rare. This is actually one of the only ones we're going to see on the tour today. Scientists to this day still don't know how these guys form. That's one of the things they come to study when they come here. One really good theory, especially for Cave of the Winds, is that the wind pushes the water as it slowly evaporates over thousands of years. Those minerals get left at an angle rather than straight down like an icicle. Now, off to our right is going to be our first column that we're going to see today. That's right there. That column is when a stalactite from the ceiling and a stalagmite from the ground meet in the middle. Now, you might be able to see they're not meeting in the middle, however. That's how we found these in 1929. Now, we think it's because of a rock slide. You can kind of see all of this loose debris and rock here. We do think a rock slide actually came through and snapped this column right in half. So unfortunately, these guys will never meet again. So we call them Romeo and Juliet. Now, like I said, this is one of the coolest rooms in the cave, in my opinion. Again, the highest point in our cave. That makes us the second highest show cave in all of North America. The only one higher than this is still in Colorado. It's the Grand Caverns in Grand Junction. Now, what comes up must come down, so we are going to head back down the staircase.
So you did admit it. Tricky words. Become a lawyer. I find it a little
George was no different. He was really close with railroad companies, and they had a lot of employees not working at this time, so he actually paid to bring them out to Colorado to dig out the rest of the tour that we're going to see today. Now, before doing that, he wanted 2 things as a favor. This guy we named Pickett's Column after George and John Pickett, who originally found the sinkholes. Now, it's shiny. Do you guys have any guesses why it's shiny like that? No? What? That's okay. Wet, that's a really good guess. Limestone, so this is limestone. Now, it's actually wet because of us touching it. Now, it's not technically wet, it looks wet. What this is actually more than 50 years of hand oils, dead skin, lint from our clothing. This is what happens when we touch the cave. So again, up until this point, this was the end of the tour. People would actually rub this column before heading back out on another 4-hour journey to get back out of here. So it was an 8-hour round trip. We didn't know at the time that this was limestone. Now we do. And limestone is actually really similar to our faces. It's covered in pores. When our pores get clogged, we get pimples. This is what happens when the limestone's pores get clogged. It covers them up, and they're actually unable to be cleaned. So unfortunately, this formation is considered dead. If any water were to run down it, it would just slide right off. It wouldn't be able to stick to it and then evaporate, leaving behind its minerals so it can grow even further. So this is just a perfect example of why we don't touch the cave. You guys are going to see shiny parts throughout. That's where people over the years have touched it, and those formations are dead, unfortunately. There are some stalagmites on the ground that might trip you guys over, so just watch out for those as we head. We're coming into our cave village. The entire cave. This guy's over 8.5 feet long, and again I mentioned it takes about 1,000 years for them to grow an inch, so that means this guy is well over 105,000 years old. Now that's really rare for a stalactite. A lot of them break while forming. A lot of people originally broke them on the tours, thinking that they grew back just as fast as icicles. Now we know they don't. So this guy's really rare. It's just called the longest stalactite in the cave. We let its beauty speak for itself. In this room, we go over a little bit of history on how the cave itself was actually formed. So again, I mentioned around 500 million years ago, the whole middle of the U.S. was covered in a really shallow ocean that was home to diverse plant life and sea creatures. Over the years, all of those creatures died, all of those plants died and settled at the bottom of the ocean. It got covered by layers and layers of sediment. As the ocean dried up and all of those creatures died, around 70 million years ago, our plates started to converge to create the Rocky Mountains that we have today. In that process, it created giant cracks in the surface of the earth. These are called lifelines, and this is actually the best room to see those lifelines. They are directly above us. These really prominent straight lines right here with stalactites coming out of them are all lifelines. Over the course of thousands of years, those lifelines allow rainwater and snowmelt to seep through. It mixes with all of those dead fossils and plants and creates carbonic acid. Now, carbonic acid sounds kind of scary, but we actually drink it almost every day. Carbonic acid is in most sodas. Sure, we leave the safety of our concrete flooring, we go onto natural dirt flooring. We're going to gather around the bottom of the wooden staircase. There is a little bit of a narrow passageway as we come through. I'm going to point that out, just watch out for that. That I've heard that is really scary that has actually kept me from going on that tour so far, so I haven't gone yet. One of our only other entrances into the cave is actually right behind us, that big opening way back there. That's our summer entrance. There's only 2 entrances into the cave, the one we came in and that one.